Yeah, good evening. Online people, is it audible? Yeah. So, welcome to this section for Geography Optional. Myself, MD Rizwan, and with my colleague Shivarpis sir and Vaishali ma'am. We are the faculties for Geography Optional. We'll be dealing with the optional subject. And today's session is about selection of geography as an optional subject and what can be the preparation strategy for this for 2026. If you are preparing for 26 or somebody is preparing for 27 also, this will help you in deciding about optional, that is more particularly geography as an optional subject. Okay. Now, to begin with, first understanding you should have uh, is that your optional preparation is different from your GS. So, first you should realize and accept this reality that when you are preparing for optional, it is not like you are going to prepare for GS. See, optional preparation requires depth. Second, it requires dedication. It requires that you have to invest time in optional preparation. It cannot be done like you are reading one day and the next day you leave it. So you have to prepare for optional at least for 5 to 6 months rigorously. Then only you will be able to come to the level so that you can say I can reach up to 250 marks out of 500, right? Obviously, every student who is preparing for the optional subject, he is aspiring that I should score more than 300. But you cannot directly jump to 300 marks. First, you have to reach to the minimum level, that is around 250. And for reaching that 250 marks, you have to dedicate yourself. You have to read the optional, prepare the optional along with the classes for at least 5 to 6 months. Then only the subject is getting consolidated and you will reach that level which is required for attempting the UPSC geography paper. Okay. Now, see, as far as selection of the optional is concerned, on what basis somebody should select optional? Here we are guiding you to take the decision about geography, right? It is not a comparison. Rather, we will suggest if you are selecting geography, what benefit you are going to get, what are the pros and cons of geography as a subject. First, you understand that when you prepare for optional, you cannot have a conflict with the subject and prepare. आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते हैं कि you are having resistance with the subject, right? You have to develop a friendship with the subject, then only the subject will improve. So there will be students who are taking the subject and later on they are having a two mindset or they are having a conflicting opinion about the subject and they continue to read the subject. So one side set of mind is saying that no, this subject is not for me, and second part of your thought is that no, I will prepare for this. If you are having this conflicting idea, the preparation will collapse, right? So, not having a conflict, you have to build the relation. They say you are building a relation with your some friend, right? Similarly, you have to build the relation with the subject. You have to build a harmony with the subject. Then only the subject will benefit you, right? It is something like how you study in ecology. There is a symbiotic relationship. A student should develop a symbiotic relation with the optional. Then only your preparation will flourish and you will be able to get something out of it. If you are developing resistance, always you are having a resistance, and what is that resistance? You feel that I am forced to read, you feel that I am not interested, you feel that it is going above my head, right? आपको लग रहा है कि नहीं, इसमें एक टेंडेंसी ऑफ अ स्टूडेंट इज पोस्टपोंडिंग. तो इस तरह का अगर आपका एटीट्यूड ऑप्शनल में है, the optional will not be completed. First is you will not be able to complete the syllabus. Neither the classes are going to benefit you, nor what is understood in the class, what is taught by the teacher. This is not going to get materialized if you are having this kind of mindset. So my first suggestion will be, when you take an optional, you have to see that whether I am compatible or optional is compatible with me or not. what kind of person I am. That is the first and foremost thing that the student should analyze. So, am I, is my background, is my mindset, is my thought process really compatible with the requirement of the subject, right? So that is the first requirement. Now, as far as geography is concerned, when you look at geography, the students who think in a logical manner, the student who are thinking like cause and effect, the student who are with a scientific bent of mind, right? जो थोड़ा बहुत logical सोच सकते हैं, those who are coming from, then can look at also a background, those who are coming from professional background, those who are coming from engineering, those who are coming from science background. अगर ये ना भी हो, there are many students who are coming from humanities also, but still they are having some kind of inclination in the way like they are able to analyze the things in a cause and effect relationship. For them, geography is a compatible subject, right? This is about compatibility. So first thing you have to search for this, whether what I am going to learn, what is the nature of the subject, and what is my scenario, what is my thought process. क्या इनमें कुछ bridging है? Most of the time, how it happens that the thought process of a student is something different, the requirement of the subject is something different, and though these two are going in opposite direction, the student is struggling to make them converge, right? तो सारा preparation इसी प्रोसेस में चलता रहता है कि हाउ आई कैन converge, how I can bridge between what is required and what I am having, right? And that struggle is continuous, and after 4 5 months or after one attempt, sometimes after two attempts, then student is going to realize that नहीं नहीं ये मेरे लिए subject था ही नहीं. But by the time you make this realization, it is already 2 or 3 years in UPSC preparation. This method will be wrong, right? So first thing is compatibility. Then what are other advantages of geography? First thing is that it has obviously overlap with your GS. We can say that this overlap you can see in context of your marks also. It is overlapping somewhere in, there is a part in GS paper 1 in mains, it is there in some part will be there in GS paper 3 also. You can use this in essay, you can use it in international relation. Obviously there is a overlap of geography throughout your general studies. This is going to benefit you, but that should not be a criteria, right? तो ऐसा नहीं कि ये बिल्कुल ओवरलैप हो रहा है इसलिए हमने सब्जेक्ट सिलेक्ट कर लिया. So what if every popular optional has a overlap? History is also overlapping, public administration is overlapping. If the student is selecting optional on the basis of overlap and he is not performing in optional, then what is the use? हो सकता है because you are selected geography as an optional, you are getting 5-10 marks additional to some other students in GS. But what about if you are not able to score more than 280 290 in the optional subject and you are ending up scoring 210 or 220? Now this is not considered as a wise decision. ओवरलैप कब काम आएगा? अगर आप ऑप्शनल को 280 270 के ऊपर लेकर जाएंगे and in GS you are getting additional 20-30 marks, then you can say that this overlap has benefited, right? This is number one. Second, geography, when you prepare, you will be able to develop insights about many other things in and around, right? तो आपको एक logical interpretation of many interlinkages, what we are studying in current affairs also, we will be able to get benefited. ठीक है? Next is that when you cover this subject, you have to cover on the basis of scientific lines, right? So it is something like the geography is a scientific or semi-scientific subject. It is not abstract. This is a benefit, right? They say it is not like you are continuously reading something. Every chapter of geography has certain models, it has some theories, it has some principles, right? This will give you a feel. It is something like it is a bridge between humanities and natural science, right? It is a bridge between humanities and natural science. तो आपको ये लगेगा कि आप कहाँ लगेगा कि आप फिजिक्स भी पढ़ रहे हैं, कहाँ पर लगेगा कि यू आर अप्लाइंग अ प्रिंसिपल ऑफ फिजिक्स in geography. So for example, you are having a principle of gravity, law of gravity. You apply the same law of gravity to study the migration pattern. You study the urban sphere of influence, right? So that is how it is bridging somewhere the subjects across. So it is an interdisciplinary subject. It is not that you are going to read. So जैसे in students are having this idea because they are studying geography in GS, they study geomorphology, climatology, oceanography, and these are there. But along with this, there is other thing that is known as human geography, where it becomes more and more applied, right? Now, as far as syllabus is concerned, the syllabus of geography consists of two papers as every optional, paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 is focusing on principles of geography. Paper 2 is focusing on Indian geography. And paper 1 is further divided into section A, that is physical geography, and section B is human geography, right? And these two areas are different from each other, right? The flavor of physical geography will be different and the content of human geography is completely different, right? So now these are something like we say it is advantages. Now what are the issues, what are the challenges in geography as a subject? One popular, we can say, opinion among the student when they select geography as a subject is geography is vast, right? This vastness, how it becomes vast? This vastness is because when you are comparing the syllabus directly with the syllabus of other subject, तो आपको number of topic अगर देखना है तो कुछ और subject में अगर compare करेंगे, you'll find that every chapter in that subject is having, let us say, 15 topic. In geography, you'll find it is 20 topics, right? So if you make a sum total of all the topics in paper 1 and paper 2, you will find compared to other optional, there are additional 50 to 60 topics you are going to do, right? That is making it feel as vast quantitatively. लेकिन अगर aspirant clever है, he will be able to find a linkage between one topic to other. जैसे I'll tell you, in paper 1 you are having a chapter of population and settlement, right? In paper 2 also there is a chapter of settlement geography and cultural setting in India. अगर आप smart है तो आप क्या करेंगे? You will club these two chapters or club these three chapters and make it one unit, and then you can prepare simultaneously. तो तीन chapter का एक ही chapter बन जाएगा. But if you are not having this idea, what you will do? You will prepare population and settlement separately in paper 1 and you will prepare separately two chapters in paper 2. तो इस process में क्या है, ये lengthy हो जाता है, right? Similarly, you will have regional planning in paper 1 and there is another chapter, regional development and planning, in paper 2. So if you are clever, you know how to comprehend, you will combine this and you will make it one chapter. You know how the principles of regional planning, what you have studied in paper 1, can be applied in Indian scenario, and how to take the examples from paper 2 and write it in or include in paper 1. This is how we can connect between the two and reduce the syllabus, right? So comprehending in geography is an art, right? It is a skill. So that you have to develop, right? Next, so first issue is vastness, but how to address this? That I am telling, right? Second is it has a language. Geography has a language, right? Why the students are not able to score in geography as a subject is because, see, many of the students, they have conceptual clarity. The problem is when they write, they don't write according to the requirement of the exam. You have to follow the language of the subject. Geography is about RRR, right? Means what? It is about retention, representation, and recall, right? Retention, representation, and recalling the information. क्या हम रिटेन कर रहे हैं, क्या हम रिकॉल कर पा रहे हैं, क्या हम इसको अप्रोप्रिएटली रिप्रेजेंट कर पा रहे हैं, if you are able to follow this method, you will be able to score in the subject, right? There are many students who will be very good at conceptual understanding of the subject, but if you are asked write 150 words on that particular topic, तो ज्योग्राफी में हमेशा एक फीलिंग ऐसा होता है कि ये तो हमको आता है, राइट? समझ में आना और उसको एक स्ट्रक्चर्ड वे में फॉलोइंग द लैंग्वेज ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट, राइटिंग इट इन 150 to 200 वर्ड इज अनदर थिंग, right? What you have in your mind and how you represent, these are two different things in geography. You have to build a bridge over this, right? Many students are very good in knowing the topic, लेकिन आप उनको बताइए 150 वर्ड 200 वर्ड तक लिखो, what happens? They will write 150, suppose 50 words, after that they stop. There are many repetitions, right? So problem is they are not able to express. Unless you develop the expression, you will not be able to score in the subject. It is not like any other subject in humanities. In other subject of humanities, it is something like a story writing, right? But in geography, it is not like a story. You have to follow a language. You have to follow a terminology. Second, you have to follow maps. You have to draw the map. You have to draw the diagram. You have to underline the things, right? So wherever appropriate example have to be written, you have to link from paper 1 to paper 2. In this way, if you are able to practice, then only you will be able to score. So this is the second challenge that is faced by the student, that they are not able to score, right? And the problem कहाँ स्टार्ट हुआ है? हो सकता है प्रॉब्लम उस लेवल पे स्टार्ट हुआ that you have selected the subject even if it is not compatible with you, right? We are very clear with this, right? We are not saying that you select geography. You select geography only when you find yourself compatible with the subject. If somebody is coming to us attending the class, but initially he has to decide that subject is compatible to you and you are compatible to with the subject, we can help the student to reach to your goal, right? Now, as far as beginning the preparation is concerned, ठीक है, so दो major challenge है, one is how to manage the syllabus and second is how to score, ठीक है. Next is how to study geography. You have to go step by step. First, you have to build the foundation. What is this foundation? Foundation is built along with your GS. Every student, irrespective of whether you are student of optional or not, have to read geography in general studies. You are reading physical geography, you are reading human geography, you are reading agriculture. All this is done. Indian geography is there. You are reading ecology and environment. जितना आप GS में पढ़ रहे हो, that constitute 40% of geography optional syllabus, right? Whatever you are preparing in GS, this is 40% of your optional syllabus. Okay, so where to begin? Obviously, you have to start with NCERT. Second step will be read GC Lyon. This much you have to first do, and third, you can have a compatibility with the atlas. Three things, right? To begin with, NCERT, GC Lyon and atlas. इतना आप करेंगे before attending the classes or whatever. ठीक है? If you are doing self also, you have to first do this. After that, you have to go for the standard reading, the standard prescribed books for paper 1 and paper 2. That will be like most of the paper 1 section A is covered under physical geography by Savinder Singh. Section B में you will have some books like Geographical Thought by R.D. Dixit. Then you are having Geographical Thought by Majid Hussain sir, right? Then you have Models and Theories by Majid Hussain sir. So these are the standard books that you have to refer. In paper 2, it is Indian Geography by Khular, right? So that will be providing you that what are the references will give. Okay. So this is a step. First is read NCERT, read GC Lyon, go through the atlas. Okay. And next you go for next level will be the standard book that you have to prepare or read according to the syllabus. Next is making the synoptic notes of what you have done in the classes, or if you are doing it self also. अगर आप standard notes या standard books पढ़ रहे हैं, so obviously you will not be able to read and revise everything from the books before the exam. तो इसके लिए आपको क्या बनाना है, synoptic notes prepare करना है. Suppose you are reading a plate tectonic theory in geomorphology. Now plate tectonic in Savinder Singh, it will be for 10-15 pages. Now can you revise 10-15 pages of this topic before exam? Obviously not. तो आपको क्या करना है, एक पेज में उसका एक synoptic notes बनाना है. That will be a ready reference for this topic before the exam, right? Third step will be analysis of the previous year question paper, right? This has to be followed in a sequence. पहले आप NCERT पढ़ेंगे, उसके बाद standard book पढ़ेंगे according to the syllabus, and next step is analyze the previous year question paper. How many years you should follow? I will suggest here follow last 10 years of question paper, right? 10 years means from 2015 onwards up to 2025 you can follow. That is sufficient, right? Because most of the question trends have changed after 2014. So last 10 years will be sufficient for looking at or understanding what will be the nature of the questions in optional. ठीक? And based on the optional, you create your own syllabus for every chapter. You have to prioritize. Prioritize का मतलब है, suppose you are given the syllabus of geomorphology, तो आपको ये find out करना है what are high yielding areas of geomorphology and what are the low yielding areas. मतलब what questions are more frequently repeated, where more marks are allocated by UPSC. How? So this will help you to understand how much I have to read for that particular topic. Just take example, I am reading Continental Drift by Alfred Wegener. How is this topic? This topic is very interesting, है ना, बहुत अच्छे से समझ में आएगा, GS में भी है. But you have to see how much is the utility of this topic in optional. So if you analyze the previous year question paper, you will find that ये topic तो 10 marks से ज्यादा कभी आया नहीं है. So even if I am reading 5 pages, 10 pages, or I am reading 1000 words, or I am having 2000 words on Continental Drift, its maximum utility in exam is only 200 words. तो आपके पास कितना कंटेंट होना चाहिए? 200 words, not more than that. So your preparation should be based on identifying what are high yielding areas and low yielding areas. जब आप ये कर पाएंगे, then your subject preparation will get balanced, right? Otherwise what will happen? Student will start reading the topic and digging it more and more without understanding the boundary where to stop. है ना, आपको ये भी समझ में आना चाहिए कि कहाँ रुकना है. So if you keep on reading that topic without understanding its relevance in the exam, it is not going to yield you. First thing, it is damaging your timeline of preparation. You will not be able to complete the syllabus. So how much time a student is having for preparing optional is 6 to 7 months. In that 5 months of coaching and another 1.5 to 2 months he will require to consolidate, right? 5 months you are spending for classes. In classes will complete the syllabus. After that also you are expected to give another 1 to 1.5 or 2 months to consolidate. Then only you will be ready for writing the exam. Okay? So as far as our approach is concerned, so now I think that you got the idea how to approach the subject. We'll take up the doubts after this. Let me explain. Now we will be starting a batch. This is batch 3 of geography optional. Will be beginning on 26th of October. This will go for 5 months. We are estimating that we'll be ending this by end of March or start of April, right? So 3 faculties will be covering the subject, and we have divided it. Jaise most of the chapters of paper 1 I'll be dealing. Ma'am will be dealing some chapters of paper 1 that is mostly related to ecology and environment and population and settlement geography, and sir will be dealing with paper 2. In this way, these are the divisions. We'll give you again when the batch begins. Then apart from classes, you will be provided with the printed material. You will be getting handouts along with the what is done in the class. Class notes तो आप लिख ही रहे हैं. You're writing the class notes. With class notes, there will be printed material. There will be handouts. There will be assignment which we will evaluate and give, and there will be test after completion of certain chapters. Say we have completed like geomorphology, there will be test. So our intention of this course is that by the end of the batch, a student should be in position that he should be able to tackle and manage this entire syllabus. He should know at least how to prepare what in what way, right? तो आप self dependent and self reliant हो जाएंगे after 5 to 6 months of the classes. That is our intention, right? And also to give you a balanced approach of preparation. ऐसा नहीं कि we are focused on one particular part. See, most of the time it happens in this way. Somebody starts geomorphology and geomorphology is covered for 1 month. Climatology is covered for another 1.5 months. तो 2-3 चैप्टर में ही आपका 2-3 महीना हो गया, and after that remaining 15 chapters are covered in 1.5 months. This is not a balanced way, right? So how it is, the well distribution of the syllabus across the timeline. So our intention is to cover everything and every topic in a balanced manner so that you get a suffice understanding and you have enough content to read, revise and reproduce in the exam. And from day one, we will see that you are writing something, you are writing in the class and you are also writing after the class in the form of assignment. क्योंकि ऐसा नहीं होगा that you are only attending the classes and only reading, and after 6 months you say that no, I'll go and directly write exam. If you are having that approach in geography, it really will not work, right? In geography, you need practice. Unlike any other subject, you have to start writing from day one, right? So this is something like an approach that you have to follow. Now, if you are having, so as it is like an interactive session, it will be more better if we know what you have in your mind and we can address that, both online and offline students. See, this is a workshop or this is like an interactive session where it will be more appropriate that you ask us, because I have given you a general idea. My colleagues are there. According to their topics also, they can suggest you. Online people. So whatever doubts you are having, please.
About the current affairs, like how we approach it in the GS syllabus or GS paper 1 and the places in the news, some sort of things like, is it the same way in the optional subject?
Yeah. So he is asking that what about current affairs in geography? See, current affairs plays a very important role in geography, but we have more weightage of current affairs in paper 2. Just say there are chapters like agriculture, industry, contemporary issue, where you have to integrate with current affairs. In paper 1, current affairs का जो requirement है थोड़ा सा कम है, because most of the syllabus of paper 1 is very static part. There's an entire physical geography, geomorphology, climatology, oceanography. There will be hardly 1 or 2 topics like applied, right? There we need current affairs. In section B, there is a lot of theories. There also the requirement of current affairs. I'm not saying it is absolutely not there, but it is very less. But in paper 2, you need the current affairs, right? So sir will be in better position to tell you how to address this issue of current affairs in paper 2.
Paper 2, what happens is most of the times when we look at the questions have been linked to the current affairs. Let me give you some examples here. In 2018, we had thunderstorms in the northwestern part of India. So there was a question related to the occurrence of thunderstorms in mains paper. The US imposed certain tariffs on India, so we had a question on pharmaceutical industry this year. Then, for example, if let's say look at the question that we had on pharmaceutical industry, there was in 2023, a lot of news related to Indian pharmaceutical industry, which is largely volume based and not value based. So this was a question. Okay. So I'm talking about not only the topics of human geography, but even in physical geography. Let's say I just told you about climate. So we have a question related to current affairs. We had cloudburst in 2021. We had a question. We had 2017, there was a question where they talked about the end of monsoon report. This particular, what was the reason for heavy rainfall this particular year in 2017? So paper 2 is loaded with the current affairs. So what will happen is you will have to be very thorough with the newspapers. If suppose I do a topic, whatever current affairs of that topic are related, I'm going to provide you with the details of that as well. But once the classes are over, then in that case, you are on yourself. You can add it along with the notes. The point is, for example, this year the government is focusing a lot on nuclear energy. A number of articles have been there in the past 2-3 days related to government trying to amend the Atomic Energy Act or Civil Liabilities for Nuclear Damage Act. So there might be a question this particular year on this particular topic of nuclear energy. So you'll have to integrate the current affairs along with your class discussions in order to write an answer. Many times the question talks about explain this with suitable examples. Okay, so you will have to give the examples which are related to this event. Okay, so current affairs remains important for paper 2 at least. Kangan, see, we cannot talk about the other option subjects. It ultimately depends on your choice. It is going to depend on the interest area. So we can talk about geography. Yes, geography is understanding or is easy to read for a person who has an interest in geography. It is scoring as well, but we cannot talk about the other option subjects. It is up to you. Because sometimes this year the map-based questions, map-based entries were very difficult, or I could say they were absurd. So nobody would be able to mark more than 4. Even if you look at the internet, you won't be able to find them easily. It was very difficult. But otherwise, in most of the cases, out of if 10 entries are there, you should be able to mark 6 to 7. And map-based entries, what happens is, Chevuru, that you save a lot of time. So map ke saath bhi, again, the only thing that you need to do is practice. You just cannot read Atlas while sleeping and then you can think that, oh, I will be able to mark it in the exam. No, it is not possible. So it once happened that we called one of the toppers here, the 4th ranker. So he asked the students, everybody knows about Delhi, but can you mark Delhi in the map? So once you are marking Delhi physical map of India, most of you will not be able to mark it correct. So if you have not practiced, then in that case, you won't be able to mark it. Okay? You, Ramesh.
On the YouTube, there is a question related to the medium. The medium of teaching is going to be English. That student is asking that she basically, he or she is more comfortable with Hindi medium. Now, the language of teaching will be English, like Vajiram delivers the courses in English medium. So that's going to be the case with geography optional as well. And basic English, if you know, you will be able to cope up with it. Of course, it does not require any kind of Shakespearean English, so you don't have to worry about that it's going to be very hi-fi. But yes, basic English, you should be able to understand, write down, that much is needed.
Moreover, if you're not comfortable with this English language, then in that case, you should not write in this language in the examination. You know a lot of things, but you're not able to express, that does not carry any meaning. Okay.
So Kunal, he's asking that I'm a BTech graduate and I have keen interest in part of physical geography and ecology, but I'm not sure about human geography. So can you address this? See, human geography mostly is theory of geography. It is a theoretical part of geography, like every optional will have. Suppose you are reading public administration, you have to read about administrative thinkers. If you are reading political science, you have to do political thinkers. Similarly, when you read human geography, you have to you have to read about what are the contributions of different geographers across the discipline, across the timeline of the discipline. So this is a theoretical part, and it also consists of models and theories. See, if you are good at physical geography, you need not worry about human. You will be able to understand. So as such, it doesn't require a different altogether mindset in human geography. What is your advice for someone choosing between geography, PSIR, and through and socio? As I told you in the beginning, we are not doing any comparison here. आप अपना जो compatibility देखिए, और as previously also somebody was asking how to know that the subject is compatible. Know it from how you are understanding it in GS, right? तो जैसे आप GS lecture attend कर रहे हो तो आपको GS में compatibility समझ में आ रहा होगा. When you are attending the class of history, when you are attending the class of geography, when you attend the class of polity, you are able to get some inclination with the subject. It is about how you feel about the subject, right? How I can find that I am interesting. तो जैसे आप एक मूवी देख रहे हैं, आपको कैसे पता चल रहा है कि आई एम इंटरेस्टेड इन दैट मूवी? यू आर क्यूरियस अबाउट व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन नेक्स्ट, राइट? इंटरवल के बाद क्या होगा आप वेट कर रहे हैं, राइट? यू आर नॉट चेंजिंग द चैनल, यू आर नॉट शिफ्टिंग टू सम अदर थिंग. इट मीन्स दैट यू आर हैविंग इंटरेस्ट. तो सब्जेक्ट में भी जब आप पढ़ रहे हो, you are trying to get more information about this. What next? अगर इस तरह का eagerness you are able to find, right, during the reading, during that preparation of that subject, means you are interested there. That can be the best way.
Current affairs only related to India is sufficient, or we have to cover all?
But for my topic, I'm taking paper 2. I can talk about 2 years. It would be an important part of a preparation. Okay. But I'm not able to
See,
answer, so it's going to be-
world map, before previous pattern of optional, there was separate mapping of the world in paper 1. But UPSC has removed this. Now mapping part is there in Indian geography, that is paper 2. So you need not go in that micro aspect in world map in paper 1. लेकिन आपको एक general understanding तो सारे world का होना चाहिए. Like you should know climate, you should know
All over the world, the other.
that happening part anyway you are reading in IR also, right? If you talk about international relation or bilateral relation, that you are reading. But I am not, जैसे आपका क्वेश्चन है कि you should look at the world map as if you are reading in India map. क्या इतने माइक्रो लोकेशंस आपको पता होने चाहिए? क्या you should know about a river in Europe and its tributary? उतना नहीं करना है, वर्ल्ड में उतना नहीं करना है, आपको एक जनरल अंडरस्टैंडिंग you should be having. ठीक है?
How can you manage GS? For example, currently enrolled here for GS as well, but to attend both the classes of optional and GS. For the self-study, I'm just getting very less hour for myself, and I have to write answers for GS as well as have to practice my optional answer writing as well. So, how in a particular way, how can I manage it? That's something because it's a conceptual subject, it requires understanding by self-study. So, as I'm slow learner, I need a lot of time to invest on a particular topic. Then and only I can get a bigger picture, clearer concept about that. So, like, how can I?
So the question is related to the time management. Many of you will have the same doubt. You get enrolled into GS classes, simultaneously you have your optional classes running as well, which means that almost half of the day gets into the classes. After that, you reach back your homes, your rooms, whatever, and then you are into self-study. So you get little time for self-study. So how to balance, how to juggle between this process of managing GS and optional both together. Now, first of all, be realistic with the goals being set. So if you're, let's say you are invested at least 6 to 6.5 hours into attending the classes, reaching the institute, attending the classes, going back room, around 6 to 6.5 hours goes into that. And then let's say every day you set a target for yourself that after the class is done, then you will be investing around 5 hours into self-study. So those 5 hours which are into self-study have to be divided between your GS revision, your optional revision for the day. Along with that, you reading the newspaper, you doing your current affairs. Now, as long as your lectures are running through, you set the realistic target in the sense that your daily goal of self-study will be revision. Revision means that whatever has been taught in the class gets consolidated back in home. Now, you expressed that you are a slow learner. See, slow, fast, whatever pace is, everybody will need to revise, right? And as you keep on revising, your hold over the knowledge increases. With time, you will pace up as well. So don't be under the impression that you are the slow learner. वो initially I think everybody starts slowly only. तो वो आपने GS has been revised, then optional has been revised for the day. The class discussions are going to be very, very thorough. The objective during the classes will be that whatever concept is being taught is taught very comprehensively. In case you have doubts, you can get back to the teacher on the same day or the next day or any time during the week to get clarified the doubts as well. And then the time which you are left with, you do your newspaper, you do your current affairs in that. So till your classes are running, you will get little time to practice the answer writing very intensively. Of course, then you can set the target that in a week, at least 2-3 answers of GS and at least 2-3 answers of optional. I think which is bare minimum, which is quite manageable. Set these realistic targets. Keep on doing it day after day, consistently. What is important is you not doing everything in a limited span of time. What is important is you being able to maintain the consistency and the perseverance of doing it day after day, daily, for 365 days of the year. And then whatsoever time the preparation demands, you're being disciplined and you are persevering with the preparation, right? So that's important. Yes, you get limited time back home. In that limited time, your aim is to optimize it. That's all.
Actually, कुछ strategies में मैं देखा कि एग्जाम में डायग्राम मैप एंड प्रैक्टिस में थोड़ा टाइम वेस्ट होता है. क्या सच है या प्रैक्टिस के साथ ये भी हो जाएगा?
प्रैक्टिस के साथ होगा. His question is, exam में time management का challenge आएगा. We have to give in diagrams, we have to give in maps as well. तो ये challenge, can it be removed through practice? Yes, it will require practice. As you start writing answers, you practice more and more answers. Initially, you will find it more challenging. With time, you will become more adept with, you will become better equipped with incorporating the maps as well as the diagrams as and when needed. Every answer perhaps will not demand them. You have to make a smart choice in your answer writing. This question, I can incorporate a map. This question, I'll incorporate a diagram. This question, I will not do anything, only theory, and I'll move on to my next answer, right? So the more you practice, the more you get to know how you make a good balance of using all the tools you have at hand for expressing your thoughts in the examination, and then you get good with it. You get better with it with time. Practice is essential. Rather, practice is vital. Practice is the key. The more you practice, better you become at it.
Selena, it will start from 26th of October.
First reading it took me like 20 days. I find that language is very archaic, hard to speak. Plus, I could say कि काफी mix up हो रखा है. Divided the topics. Compared to Pakistan, this language influence is very good. I would say. There it took me less time. So you say we have to read the full book.
Yeah, his question is that as I suggested about reference book, that is Savinder Singh, he was finding this book to be slightly difficult and taking more time. So what to be done? See, if you're reading Savinder Singh, you have, that's what I told you, that you have to read according to the priority of the topics. Okay? You need not follow everything from Savinder Singh. That is how the classes will also help you. So there are certain topics that you have to do in the class and class notes will be sufficient. लेकिन कुछ topics में आपको सविंदर सिंह ये book का help लेना होगा. But as you find some topics are easy and they can be covered from NCRTs also, that much will be sufficient. So it depends on how you are classifying the syllabus. Okay. So first identify what I have to read. You need not read, again I am repeating, you need not read all the topics from Savinder Singh. You have to go according to the trends of the question and previous year question paper. Okay. That we will suggest you in the class.
Ashutosh, if you are comfortable with physics, then go with physics. And because you have already gone through the syllabus for at least in 3 years of a graduation. So if you are okay, if you are good with the concepts of physics, then no need to change the subject. Again, Kangan, that would come with the practice. Nobody can tell you that this is the best way to write an answer. You start writing the answers, you are going to improve over a period of time. Paper 2 we will be following DR Khuller. But that again is not to be read cover to cover.
See, someone is asking this, how to approach unit that is section B, perspective in human geography. I find it somewhat challenging to understand. That is how. So perspective जो chapter है, that is chapter 6 of paper 1. If you are reading it from the book, you get a different impression of the topic. That is why you have to have a conceptual understanding of this, right? So you have to understand the perspective in terms of its application, and you have to link from one to other. जैसे take example, suppose you understand quantitative revolution. तो जब आप इसको book में पढ़ेंगे, you get a different idea from the book. Books are not going to provide you direct information about or direct concept about what is this, right? So unless you are knowing why this quantitative revolution came into existence, what was quantitative revolution, and how the things in geography changed after quantitative revolution. Perspective is nothing but a framework. How geography as a discipline has evolved over a time period. ठीक है, तो इसको थोड़ा सा लिंक करके पढ़ना है, then you will find it relatively easy.
Any doubts from the students over here?
Perspective in all the questions. You are saying what the topic realization. The scholars and the books, like projected video or like won't it be like overdoing something?
No. Your question is that can you?
Can we mention and refer to all these scholars in every question?
Now see,
the answer
what
would be no.
happens is, what happens is that it is always good that you are able to interlink the topics, and that's from where the question comes, because you understand that certain theories, certain perspectives, scholars have given their own views, and then that has applicability across the topic. So that's from where the question comes. Use it wisely, don't overdo it. Because when we look at the previous year's attempts by the students, it can backfire, because you need to use it very wisely. And if you have developed the knack of using it wisely, you're good at it, you use it, but still don't overdo it. I'll give you an example. You don't have to use the scholars everywhere, but if it becomes absolutely relevant, you do that. For example, you have population geography as part of paper 1, and then you have population studies as part of paper 2 as well. Let's say you get a question in paper 2, wherein the question is related to the stage of demographic transition in India, and some kind of demographic transitions taking place in India. The question is related to that. In this question, when you bring in the demographic transition model, which you have studied in paper 1, it is going to be relevant enough to do that. Get it? Because it has direct applicability, right? But let's say the question in population geography of paper 2 is not related to it, and you are unnecessarily trying to bring in the theories or the models you have done as a part of paper 1, that would take away your time as well, consume your time as well, your space as well, and then you'll not be able to do justice. Shiv sir would like to add something.
No, that's it. That's just what I wanted to say. In every question, that is not required. For example, if let's say I talk about resources in India, let's say we talk about, let's say, coal resource. Okay. Acha, GS mein, if I am reading about coal, I'm going to talk about, let's say, coal is associated with the Gondwana rocks. Okay. Acha, if suppose I'm talking in geography, optional, I'm going to say coal is associated with lower Gondwana rocks, wherein the Raniganj series, Talcher series, or the Damoda series have coal, but Panchet series may have iron ore but may not have coal. These are the geological formations within the Gondwana rocks. So getting my point. So I'm not quoting any scholar here. Okay, but what I'm doing is I am being a bit more technical in my optional answer. Okay.
I'll give you more examples. In GS, you can simply write down introduction of invasive alien species. And invasive aliens, I guess most of you would know because there was recently an article in the Hindu. Introduction of invasive alien species causes biodiversity loss. Simple. In geography optional, you write down the same thing. Introduction of invasive alien species causes simplification of the ecological niches, thereby reduction in the diversity of the ecosystem happens, which has an adverse impact upon the ecological stability and homeostasis. Understand the difference, right? Now this is geography jargon. This is geography technical term. This is geography hardcore optional terminology. The GS student stops at simple things. The optional students becomes more versed. That's the difference.
If you write something too much technical, like
Ram,
in
yeah,
the GS
so, okay.
subject,
This has
will
been answered.
it become hard for the examiner to evaluate the answers?
नहीं देखो, it will, let's not get into judging the examiner. Examiner has the job of judging us, right? It will take up lot of time of yours, and the demand of the answer is not that. And when you spend too much time in writing a few answers which are very, very high quality, you will compromise your time on writing some other answers. So in GS, the goal is to write good quality answer across all the questions. Not write a few best answers and entirely leave the rest. No, that would be foolish. ठीक है? तो जितना मैं उसको technical I am making in GS, I am taking time at the cost of other answers. That's why it's not wise.
Is it like that in the geography? They just expect us optional. I'm talking about. They just expect us to write too much like technical, some sort of thing like that. For example, I'm just trying to give one example, ma'am. For example, we write in a GS according to the certain report, and as sir said in a paper one, there is a less current affair. On our own, we introduce the answer to the current affairs. So, is it okay for that?
Yes, it's okay. I'll tell you why.
End up writing too much technical, right? Like there are many things for me to write currently which has happened, and if I write, let's say I just start my introduction in that, and then in the body I also add something a report, and then I don't ended up adding too much technical stuff. It is too much inclined towards the GS geography level. So how it will impact my marks?
See, bache, the question you're asking is how much of current affairs I can include, how much of technical. If the answer is demanding you to include current affairs, you'll have to invariably include current affairs. That's one. Secondly, of course, it's an optional subject. Being an optional subject, you will have to bring in your geography, conceptual, principle wala knowledge. Panda to lana hi padega. Sometimes the questions are framed in a manner where they look like GS question. For example, a few years back in paper 1 under environment geography, the question was on carbon neutrality and the carbon positive countries. Now this was not a geography hardcore technical question. This was a current affair based question. In these kind of questions, you can deliver it, you can answer it like it is a GS question, but there are going to be only a very few questions which you will find like this. One question across the entire paper, which is more like a GS orientation. Over there is little scope to bring in the geography core funda. You don't do that. You don't bring in that, right? But otherwise, most of the questions are going to be derived from geography, base, principle, conceptual understanding.
no issue for me, even if the question is not the current affair.
Now, current affair, the question will not ask you a report per se, but why do you incorporate current affairs? Because you want to write an answer which has an edge over the competitor so that you score better. Simple.
But I was having one doubt. I don't know how to start my intro. And then if I start my intro to a certain report, even if that question is not demanding any current affair, that question is asked about the simple tsunami scenario. I start my answer right by saying recently some tsunami happened, and then I just quoted it by saying through the intro. So I was that doubt. It won't, will it impact my marks? That I should start my introduction by explaining what is tsunami and all.
Depends upon the demand of the question. Let's say the question is, what is tsunami? What are the reasons for origin of tsunami? Give major examples of tsunamis in recent times. Now you're not going to begin with example of tsunami because the last part of the question is asking you example of tsunami. You're going to begin with what is tsunami. Let's say now the question is that geophysical disasters like tsunamis take a heavy toll on human development, and thereby a robust approach of tsunami management is needed by the countries. Describe or elucidate. Now you begin with an example of a major tsunami wreaking havoc in some part of the world. It's a great way to start the answer. It depends upon the question, Vijay.
There are many different ideologies and ideas related to like there is a revolution of Earth. Like in different subjects like history, we can each other like
In history,
in history there is another ideology. We can suggest different how we can like implement on each other to make our answer.
So-
How we can
see, he is asking that there are different ideas, like he's quoting example like evolution of the earth, what we have studied in other subject in history and all, how we can relate here. See, first thing you should understand, when you are studying geography, you are bonded by the framework of geography, right? What happens in other discipline that is not considered in geographical studies unless there are evidences. So geography kya hai? Geography is rational, geography is scientific, geography is based on its own method, right? So it is not going, you cannot write anything irrational which can be there as a part of other subject and unnecessarily you drag it into geography and write. जब तक आपके पास geographical method से उसका evaluation हुआ नहीं है, आप यहाँ पर include नहीं कर पाएंगे, right? So for example, you say, how are earthquakes caused? Earthquakes are the result of what? Plate tectonics. तो आपके पास इसका scientific explanation hai. Now if you go by mythology and how is earthquake caused? Earthquake is caused because earth is on some Sheshnag or it is held by some demons or gods and all that. Ye sab that is a part of mythology, but that cannot be included in geography. So we have to follow the methodology of geographical empirical evidences in geographical studies, right? So as your doubt previously, somebody was asking about intro. See, you should not carry any preconceived notion about writing so and so introduction. आप जैसे मैडम भी बता रहे थे, तो आप लिखना है according to the question. Don't say that I will go and write this introduction. Don't be with the introduction, right? That will damage your answer writing also. आपको एक स्किल आना चाहिए कि ये क्वेश्चन को हम कैसे इंट्रोडक्शन बनाएंगे, ना कि एक रेडीमेड इंट्रोडक्शन जाकर वहां लिख देना है, ठीक है? सो डेवलप दैट स्किल that I should create an introduction according to the given question.
What happened is, we practice a lot of GS answer writing, and it automatically happens whenever we just go for answer writing for the we keep on practicing that single answer writing for the 3 papers. We start with the report, we start the introduction for quality and for economy, we start according to a report or some current affair. So it automatically happens by writing the intro. We also ended up writing something the same way in a geography optional as well, even if it's not required. So that's fine.
No, I have understood your problem, that because you are having a practice of writing in GS, he is saying that the same can happen. No, but when you start reading optional paper, optional syllabus, तो आपका ये approach optional के लिए धीरे धीरे with practice it will change.
Even in GS, you cannot follow just one template that I may use it this template for all the answers. That is not the case. It depends on the questions. Okay.
That's a very I'm from the so lot of my friends are saying the marks are going down, scaling is happening or stuff. So it's getting very hard to score above 300. Last year I checked what you did, I think 291 was the highest score. Do you also agree the marks down rate or or just
Because nobody can talk about scaling. Nobody knows about what happens inside UPSC. Okay, so all of those are basically rumors that scaling is happening, this is happening, and that is happening. What we know is, yes, since the past few years, what we have seen is that there has been some kind of decline in the number of students who get selected. Okay, for example, if I compare geography with, let's say, a subject like Urdu language, the selection rate in Urdu is very high because few people take that Urdu. Out of, let's say, 10, if 5 get selected, then rate is 50%. Geography mein, people who take geography option, they are large in numbers. That is why you compare that selection rate is just 10% or let's say just 5%. That is why we find the difference. But related to scaling, nobody knows that. And moreover, if you get 300 marks or even 290 marks plus addition of 30 marks in, let's say, GS, you are going to be in the top ranks. Okay, so ultimately it depends on a choice. For example, if I have no knowledge related to Sindhi language, I have no knowledge related to, let's say, Sanskrit, but selection rate is very high, I cannot take up that particular topic or subject because I have a good rate of selection. I need to first focus on my interest area. Okay.
advantage
Are disadvantages?
most people are taking PSR and
But if suppose you are from a geography optional background, you have studied geography in graduation days, then you should not give it a second thought. Okay. So if suppose there's a scoring subject, let's say PSI is a scoring subject, or let's say Anthro is a scoring subject, anything for that matter. If you're going to study that subject from scratch, you're going to spend a lot of time. If you put in that time in the subject that you already know, look at the chances by which you can increase your marks. Okay. So it is, we're not trying to tell you that you come to us, no. But if you're preparing, then in that case, you should go with a trusted horse. आपने geography पढ़ा है तो आपको पता है कि उसमें आप कैसे लिखते हो, you know the concepts better than most of the other people. ठीक है?
Didn't get a clear idea how much mapping is basically required for the optional. Do we have to decorate our entire world with maps or like a physiography of the entire world? And there are many maps.
देखो, world maps, you won't have a map based question in case of the paper 1. ठीक है? अच्छा, paper 2 में you have the map based questions. ठीक है? As and when you read a topic, let's say I am reading a topic of pharmaceutical industry, I'm reading a topic, let's say, of cotton textile industry, I'm, let's say, reading a topic related to sugarcane cultivation, or let's say I'm looking at a topic related to the concentration of religious minorities in India. I should know the places. Okay? I should know what are the areas jahan par automobile industry is there. I should know the places wherein we have the concentration of Sikhs or Muslims or Buddhists in the country. So if you don't know about the map of India, then in that case, you won't be able to write the answers as well. Got my point? Exact plotting for the first question, that would be depending on how much practice you do. Okay?
For paper 1, it's not required. The industry is spread across the world.
You need not point it in the map. But if suppose you are reading about, let's say, iron steel industry in paper 1, you should know the areas jahan par iron ore is present. You should know the areas wherein coal is present. Are you getting my point?
What about the physiography of the world, sir, for a paper mountain ranges and many things like the highest peak. So the same field,
Physiography, whatever you are studying in GS, right? That much is sufficient for optional. जैसे take example of geomorphology. Geomorphology में जितना आप plate tectonics तक GS में पढ़ रहे हो, that is the foundation for geomorphology. You have to move one step ahead in optional. You have to add theoretical perspective to that part. इसमें again your doubt is whether you should go and study all the peaks of Rocky Mountain. ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है, आपको ये पता होना चाहिए this is a Rocky Mountain extending from, तो एक major area या general overview of that physiographic feature you should be knowing. ठीक है, not like how you are doing in Indian. In paper 2, when you see Himalaya, in Himalaya you should know the locations of all the important peaks of Himalayas. You should know the rivers that are flowing there. You should know the tributaries. Lekin world mein, because the questions are not related to mapping directly, but we are using those things in the answer, you need to have a general view of the world map.
Paper 1 I get because there is no ending word. Like in paper 2 there's explain in India. In paper 1 there's it's not mentioned. Like sometimes there is we explain the major regions across the world. When the world is not written, how do we interpret it? Like sometimes we start writing about India only. Because I only know examples of that. How do we interpret?
No, obviously, when it is asked in paper 1 and if it is not mentioned, it is implied that it is related to global scenario, it is related to world. ठीक है, हाँ obvious. लेकिन अगर कुछ थियरी बेस्ड क्वेश्चन पेपर 1 में आ रहा है, अगर आप उसको सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं इंडियन एग्जांपल से, यू शुड बी एबल टू राइट. ठीक है, यस यस ऑब्वियसली. Fine. I hope any other doubts you are having, offline students, online.
Please.
what will be our approach? Like we are taking our class from 26th October. So from where will we start? Sir?
On 26th, we'll be beginning with section B of paper 1, that is human geography. So we'll cover the human geography first, and then we'll cover the section A later. That is second part will be covering physical geography, and then we'll cover your Indian geography paper 2. So because 3 teachers are there, the syllabus we will see that it is linked, right? Don't worry about that.
That's it. ये तो you will have to read some standard books as well, at least for my subject. The topics that I'm going to teach in class. Along with that, I'll give you the printed notes or handouts, and then I will also ask you to read certain topics from the standard books. Saurabh Yadav.
You have to read standard books for every unit.
ऑप्शनल तो बुक्स पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा ना, ये जीएस के जैसा नहीं है, राइट? दैट यू हैव टू हैव दिस माइंडसेट फॉर ऑप्शनल, दैट you are little bit more commitment you have to show for the optional subject.
And Kangan, if you're preparing for 2026, then in that case, this is the only time. If it is 2027, then you complete your GS course and then you take the optional if you don't have time.
I'm in pledging course. So इसमें टीचर्स लोगों का हमसे इतना रिक्वायर्ड नहीं होता है कि इसको इतना पता है इतना नहीं पता है. ऑप्शनल कोई मतलब ग्रेजुएशन लेवल का नॉलेज मांगता है यूपीएससी. तो इसमें टीचर्स मतलब आप जो पढ़ाएंगे आपके इतना बेसिक क्राइटेरिया होगा कि स्टूडेंट को इतना तो पता होगा, ऐसा कुछ क्राइटेरिया मतलब मैं इतना प्रिपेयर करके क्लास में आना होगा, ऐसा कुछ?
In my paper 2 mein, I would expect you to know the paper 1 part. If I'm, let's say, starting from physical geography of India, you should know what about the formation of mountains. You should know about the drainage systems and patterns. Okay, so I would expect that you don't this thing which sir and madam is going to take care of. Okay, so in paper 2 this would be required that you are having conceptual clarity over the topics that you have done already in paper 1. Okay, and this sir and
The
ma'am would have
minimum requirement for optional is at least you should be you should have completed your NCERT. NCERT जो क्लास 11 12 का है इतना तो आपने पढ़ा होना चाहिए. That is what minimum we are expecting for a student who is attending the class. But even if you have, along with the classes also, you can cover those things. But we'll see that we start everything from very basic thing, right? So you need not worry much. Anything else? Any doubts? So I hope this has helped you. So we'll meet on 26th then, right? Thank you. Thank you. All the best.